President Putin officially responds to the U.S. proposed 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed support for a 30-day ceasefire in the conflict with Ukraine, but also raised concerns about how it would be implemented. Speaking on March 13th during a press conference with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko in Moscow, Putin emphasized that Russia wants to ensure that, during the ceasefire, Ukraine will not mobilize additional troops, train new forces, or receive more weapons from the West. The Russian president noted that his country's military is currently advancing along nearly 2,000 kilometers of the front line, and pausing military operations could disrupt the campaign. President Putin questioned, how will these 30 days be used? To continue forced mobilization in Ukraine, receive more weapons, or train newly mobilized units? Or will none of these happen? He stressed that on such a vast battlefield, enforcing a ceasefire would be extremely difficult, and violations could lead to disputes between both sides. The Russian leader also mentioned the situation of Ukrainian troops being isolated in certain areas, including the Kursk region, which has been under siege since August 2024. Putin questioned whether captured Ukrainian soldiers should be released, given accusations of war crimes against civilians. According to the Russian General Staff, as of the evening of March 12th, Russian forces had regained control of 86% of the territory previously held by Ukraine. General Valery Gerasimov stated that the remaining Ukrainian units in the area were gradually being encircled. Amid ongoing ceasefire negotiations, the 5 European countries with the largest defense budgets, France, Germany, the UK, Poland, and Italy, have reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Ukraine, but have not pledged to deploy troops to oversee the agreement's implementation. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu emphasized that deploying troops to Ukraine is not currently under consideration. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the 30-day ceasefire could provide an opportunity for all parties to prepare the next steps toward ending the conflict. However, Russia has insisted that any peace solution must take its strategic interests into account. UK Defence Secretary John Healey stated, "The agreement between the US and Ukraine is a significant step forward, and now the responsibility lies with President Putin to prove that he genuinely seeks peace." German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius emphasized that Europe must quickly adapt to the shifting strategic priorities of the US, especially as Washington shows signs of reducing its commitment to regional security. President Putin warned that foreign mercenaries fighting for Ukraine would not be granted legal protection under the 1949 Geneva Convention. He stressed that anyone committing crimes against civilians in Russian-controlled areas would be prosecuted under Russian law. The Russian leader also mentioned several cases of Western mercenaries who have been captured and sentenced in Russia. Among them, former US Special Forces operative Patrick Critt and British citizen James Scott R. Anderson were sentenced to 13 and 19 years in prison, respectively, for fighting alongside Ukrainian forces. On March 12th, President Putin visited a Russian command center in the province of Kush, where Moscow's forces are conducting a major counteroffensive against the remaining Ukrainian units. Putin ordered the Russian military to push Ukrainian forces out of the area as soon as possible. During his visit, he received reports from Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov and expressed appreciation for the efforts of the Russian military in the ongoing campaign.